So hey guys, welcome back. So for this week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I want to attempt to do something I don't have a lot of experience in as far as some of it. Some of it I do. I'll try to explain a little bit better because I know that doesn't quite make sense. But what I want to try to do is I want to try to do window tinting. Um, so I have a little experience in it in the sense that I used to work at a tint shop, and it was kind of a tint shop slash detail shop. But anyway, I was more on the detailing side, but I always was kind of interested in window tinting, so I would help out from time to time. I never really got to do the applying or anything like that. Um, I've made a few attempts over the years at doing it, but either way, um, I know the gist of it, so we're just gonna jump into it. We're gonna give it a shot. I will tell you, I'm in a what you would call a non-controlled environment, so meaning I'm completely outside. So not in ideal circumstances, and I'll show you why in just a moment. But let's go over some of the tools that we're gonna need, and I'll show you what we're gonna do to get started. So these are just some of the tools that you'll need. You don't really need everything that I'm going to be showing you, but most of these are going to be the primary ones that you would normally need. Going to need a razor blade, preferably stainless steel, because stainless steel won't damage the glass as bad. You're going to need a hard card. It can be hard all the way through. This one just has a little cloth on the side. You don't necessarily have to use that. I use this side, it's plastic. You're gonna need some type of squeegee. This is referred to in in the tent world as a conker, I believe is what they call it. It's rubber on this side, but it has a few shapes here that you can use to kind of make contoured corners. Also a little circle here, and then there's also this point, and then you have this back edge here. I use this as a straight edge. You're gonna need a good scraper. This one is double-ended. One is plastic on one side, the other one is on this side is just a regular razor blade for cleaning off glue and things like that. Again, recommend it to be stainless steel. And then lastly, you're going to need something like this, and or again this, just to be able to kind of push the water out. And then of course you're going to need your tint. For this case, we're going to just be using the Black Magic Select Window Tint 20%. Picked this up at the local Walmart. It was the cheapest option they had, just because I knew that it's not going to come out perfect, and this is just a good way for me to practice without spending a lot of money on it. I believe this was about $10, and it's just enough to do 2 side windows roughly, as long as you cut it right. And then this card here, this I use to get down inside of like down inside of here like that, so I can get behind that little window seam on the inside to help get that tint pushed down. Something else you may need, or you will need rather, is a good heat gun. Doesn't matter which one, this is just the one I have. And then in my case, so the one we're going to be reapplying today is my driver door, and as you can kind of see, you can see my hand in it, but you see how dark that is? It's because it's already tinted. But the tint that's on here has been on here for a minute, and it's already starting to go from like a black to kind of a tan color where it's starting to bake. And then you can see where I have the window cracked just a little bit where it's black, and then it transitions into kind of that more faded. That's what it used to look like, and that's kind of what it looks like now. And the reason that this isn't going to come out perfect is, let me show you. This is one I did yesterday, just kind of working with getting used to cutting around the perimeter and all that. But if you look real close, you can see all this. This isn't dirt on the outside of the window. This is actually inside of the tent. And this is what they call controlled contamination. And what it is it's not water, it's air bubbles. And there's so much that it's almost, it's not impossible, but it's almost not worth trying to work all of that contamination out. It's almost easier just to start over. But you can kind of see around some of the areas here. There's one there. There's a couple throughout, like right there. One, if I can get it to work out, right there. But mostly in patches like this, so I will be redoing this one. But the point of this is to get it from to kind of more like this, or the one I just showed you from this. Now this one you can see all the way through, and you can see it's kind of like a purple color, and it has a lot of bubbles in it down through here, and this tent is really old. You can also see there's a few nicks in it where this tent has been on here for a long time, but mostly just to get the car back to a darker tint. But also this gives me an opportunity to kind of learn a new craft, I guess, something for me to just work with. I don't have a lot of money invested in it, and you know, something different. So anyway, for our case, what we're gonna also need in this instance, you'll definitely need some microfiber cloths like this. I would recommend getting quite a few of them. Lint-free ones are the ideal situation. Something else we're gonna need is a steamer. In my case, so you don't have to have a steamer, it just makes your life a lot easier. And then of course you're gonna need some type of spray bottle. I have one like this. You can use just a regular spray bottle, and some soapy water. I recommend using the Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo, the scented free stuff. And for every 1 liter, you're going to want about 4 to 5 pumps of the Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo. About 4 to 5 pumps of that. And what we're going to do to get started, let me bring you to here, is, so we need to get this off, right? So what we're going to do, go ahead and roll this window down just a little bit. So I've already started working on this a little bit, so ignore the crappy cut line right down through here, because I've already started trying to work this off a little bit, just to where I could get it where it'd be easier for you guys to be able to see. Ideally, or normally you won't have a gap this big, but just to get it to where it make it easier for the video purposes, I've already kind of went through and trimmed that out. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna take our steamer, and I don't know where my cloth attachment is for this at the moment, so basically what I'm gonna do is, I don't care that this rag is dirty, I'm gonna wrap it around the head of this, and we're just gonna work it over top of that tent to make it easier to peel. So let me go ahead and get the camera set up and get everything set up, and then we'll start working at it. All right. So what we're gonna do to start is we're just gonna take our heat gun, our steamer here, we're gonna start steaming this out. Alright, now we got a little bit of a lip going, and what this is going to do, it's going to activate the glue, and it's going to make it easier for this tent to peel off, which is what we want. We want to try to get this out in one single roll and leave no glue behind, or as little as possible. So as you can see, it's starting to peel a little bit, so we're just going to keep working at it. We're gonna keep on steaming it, and we're gonna just pull as we go. Okay. Go back over here. And we're just gonna pretty much keep doing that all the way through until we get to all the tint off from it. So let me finish getting this tint off, and then we'll get on to the next step. Okay, so now as you can see, we got all the old tint off of there. And so you don't have to have a steamer to do this. You can do the same thing with a heat gun. Basically, all you're doing is applying heat to the surface of the glass right through here. And as you're gonna pull down in a downward direction, evenly across as you're applying heat to the glass. Now, whether it be with a steamer and or be with a heat gun, be very careful when applying heat to this glass, because if you apply it in one space for too long, or one area, say like in this top corner up here, if you apply heat to that too long, you could potentially crack your glass. So now the next step is, if you look right around on the edge here, you can kind of see like a faded little bit of a line right there. So now we're gonna do what we call glass prepping, or what I call glass prepping, which is basically gonna imply cleaning the glass. So again, you can do this a couple of different ways. You can use the steamer to help with this, just to make sure that there's no glue left behind. But pretty confident at this point that we got it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take our soapy water and our spray bottle, and we're gonna spray the whole glass with it, and then we're gonna take our razor and we're just gonna kind of scrape across the glass with it. So let's go ahead and get that started. So one thing I like to do, I've already went and washed my hands, is I like to take my hand and just kind of rub it in. Because again, we haven't yet cleaned the glass yet anyway, so this is just gonna help loosen up all that dirt and debris, and if there's any glue, we can feel for the glue all around the edge, just to help loosen up any dirt and contaminants. Now, I'm going to spray again, like so. We're going to take our razor blade and we're just going to work across that edge there, like so. And then we're just going to work in a downward direction. And then I could see that there was quite a bit of contaminants in it, so I'm just going to soak the glass really, really good. Help push all that dirt down to the bottom. And don't worry about any of this getting wet. It's going to get it wet regardless. And now would be a good time, once you get kind of close to the bottom, is go ahead and wipe that off and get that all free of contaminants and dirt as well. Now, what I like to do at this point, and it's not a requirement, but I like to go ahead and go through all my work area, like so. And I'll take my squeegee And I'll just do a real good wipe, like so. And this isn't our final clean, so I'm not too worried about if there's streaks left or anything at the moment, because we will have to clean this one more time just as an extra prep. So now would be a good time to have you a cloth set aside for your squeegee, so that way you can make sure you get all that contamination off. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to keep cleaning the glass, and then once we're done with that, we'll move on to the next step. At one thing I want to point out to you is now would be a good time to take the tip of your card like this. You're gonna push it in behind your seal down here, and you want to spray in down inside the seal that touches the glass all the way across here, and then spray heavily down in here and all the way down through here. And that way you can take the edge of this, or in my case I have a thinner one that I can also use, but you can use this just the same, just to clean out inside your window sill. So you want to spray that really heavy like this. Just going to go here, kind of soak it. We're going to soak all the way across that bottom like that, and then we're going to soak all the way down through here. And you want to do what I call flooding. You want to flood out the area, that way it loosens up all the dirt and debris. Then you can take your card like this, your squeegee, you can push all of that out, and then now you can kind of see all the dirt remnants that came out of that. I'm going to take this one, I'm going to push behind that seal just good enough to get me a gap going, and then that way I can get this down in there to the bottom of the glass. And you'll feel when you're too far, because it will grab, and then you can just simply push that across like that. Now you see all the dirt that came out of that, so we'll probably do that a couple of times, and then we'll be also, before I forget, then you're also going to want to prep the outside of your glass, because you will be laying your tint film on top of that. So let me go ahead and finish getting these edges. I'll get the outside prepped and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so we've already got the window prepped, so that's good now. So we're going to go ahead and get our tint. Most manufacturers will roll this out to the way you need it to be rolled out. So what we're going to do, we're going to lay this across here. Make sure not to crease it. Very careful. That we can get rid of the excess. Set for later. Spray the outside like so. We're going to tack it. So now what we're going to want to do now, we're going to come here, we're going to take our knife, you want about 3 to 4 links like that. We're going to use our finger, we're going to create a line, and we want to get as close as we can. Push down. Then we're going to peel down and we're going to pull away. We're going to do our other corner over here. Same way. Way. And there. Now we're going to go across the bottom. So we're going to create a line. Going off our old mark. Taking our time. Okay. Go ahead and cut off our excess point here. So. Now. Out very carefully, like so. And we're going to roll that window down just a little. About right there. Should be fine. Pull this down just a hair. Spray. Now we're going to lay our plate perfectly flat. Like so. And then, now we can start cleaning up our edges. Completely dry, so we match those ends together. Like so. And I think the rest will be okay from here. So again, spray. spray. Then we're going to come back to the inside. Spray it again. Really well. Clean up the glass one more time. Like so. We're going to come to this side. We're going to peel off that safety layer. We're going to wet it as we go. We're just going to go to about there, and we're going to leave that plastic on there. So again, spray the inside of the window. Pick at the edge very carefully, trying not to touch it with our fingers. We're going to carefully bring it into the inside as quickly as possible. We're going to set it on the window. Getting our corners lined up, everything pulled in where it needs to be. Want a little bit of a gap at the top, not much. Just enough to get it started. I'm going to apply just a little bit of water to the back of that there. And carefully start squeegeeing out. So now we're going to lift up the bottom here. You need to make sure that the top is perfect. Being very careful to squeegee out bubbles as we go to not tear the tint. Go ahead and spread the bottom. Like that, get that started. Start pushing out our bubbles, like so. Push it to the side, down. Help hold that down a little bit, like so. And then we're going to go ahead, spray the bottom half of the window like so. All the way across. Now we go ahead and we finish peeling this off. that. Now, grab our corner. Our tool, get behind that edge. Like so. The rest of the way, getting that formed, getting that pushed back in. Start pushing that bubble out like so. Like that. We'll get this leveled out here. We're going to go ahead and spray the rest of this, just like that. Start pushing those bubbles out. Two spots right here. So we're going to get it behind it, like so. That way it can lay. Lay on down, just like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to come out here and we're going to work it with between the heat gun and our hard card. So spin you guys around like this so you can see a little bit better. Turn our heat gun up. We got one right here. Wipe that guy away. We got some down here in the bottom. We're going to swipe those away. And there we go. We'll give that heat gun a second to shut off and we'll talk about what we got to talk about. So I'm going to talk a little bit louder and I'm going to bring you guys over here. And we're going to just kind of go over the things that went right and the things that went wrong. So for the most part, I can see so far, of course we're still in a shaded spot. Looks like I have one little spot right there which will probably dry out. I have one little bubble right there at the tip of my finger. You can kind of see it, looks like a piece of dust. This is all just water spots that just need to be wiped off. It looks like for the most part that all went pretty well. I have a little bit of contamination right up here, not much though. The problematic area, as you can see really well there, which I can push some of that out. it's that corner right there. That corner is going to be problematic just because I don't think I trimmed it enough, so that's my fault. I may end up having to do this window again. And then the one part I really want to show you, you can't kind of see it, but if let me unlock the door again. If I open the door, now you can see the transition. And if you can't, let me show you. So you see my hand, right? Now if I move my hand closer, yeah, now you can really see. So I didn't get something quite lined up right. And then also, if I go up and focus on my finger, you can see a little bit right there. I'm kind of didn't cut it quite even right there, so I did miss a spot. So now, if you're on a professional level, 100% this is bad. It's gonna have to be redone again. Again, as I mentioned in the video earlier, there's quite a bit of contamination just because I'm outside and it's in an uncontrolled environment. This would definitely need to be set outside a little bit in the sun to let it really bake on. And then you could go out, because even as you can see kind of right there and there, I've got some what they call fingers starting to pop back up. And the way you get rid of those is you heat it and they start to wrinkle up, and as they start to wrinkle, then you push them on out. Overall, being that I haven't had a lot of practice at this, not too bad. For me, the challenge, or the most challenging part of this, other than fighting contamination, is if I spin the camera around in that corner. So I think the challenge for me is right here, because you have to get that blade at like a perfect kind of angle, like right here, and you want to follow that straight up evenly across. Now it looks not that hard, but then if you notice right here, you go up, 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 and then you get about right here, and you're trying not to cut into your rubber. It starts to arch a little bit, and then it goes into another arch as it goes up that way. Another thing is, you only want to be about 10 degrees when you're cutting, so you don't like score your glass. So what I do is I'll take the tip and I'll try to start a hole, essentially like a cut line, and then I feel for that rubber seal, and I try to stay even with that rubber seal as I go across. That way it's as formed as it can possibly be to that glass. Now I'll tell you what I used to do, and this could be wrong or this could be right. What I used to do is I would come down here to where the seal line is, about right here, and I would punch through until I got up underneath that seal just a little bit, and I would drag my blade across, and that would give me just a little bit extra, which is fine. I have seen people do it, and the guy that I used to work for, when he tint, he would always make sure there was a little bit extra to fold down in the window. The challenge with this is if you've never done this before, when you're grabbing that film, you have to kind of do like a fold motion without creasing that tint, and you have to be able to lay it up underneath of the seal right here. The more material you have, the harder that's going to be. Now also, if we go right here, and this is going to be kind of a hard part to point out, if you look right there, you can see a tint line, and then you see kind of a lighter spot just below that. So dark and then light, that's actually where my windowsill is riding, and that's why also when you roll your window down, you have that little bit of a gap at the top where you still have daylight. It's so that you can have enough room to push that down behind that sill to where when you roll your window down, it doesn't get caught on your weather strip. Now I will say overall, as far as the main part of this goes, I'm not really 100% concerned about contamination per se. Like I said in multiple times, I know contamination is a factor, but to get those worked out, I can probably do. And then if we follow along down through here, I'll show you some more spots here, and then there's one right there. That stuff I can work out, no problem. And I would be overall, I would be happy with this for a DIY project. I would not be upset with this, because it could be much worse. The part I don't think I'm going to be able to work out is that right there, because as you can see, it started to crease a little bit. There's one there, and then that line that I showed you where you can see daylight all the way through it, that's not going to be able to be worked out either. Now, if you've already done this and like you've done it multiple times and this is the best result that you've gotten out of this, I can tell you what you can do. If it's your own personal car, I would not do this on anybody else's. I have seen people do this and I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. If you have a small light line, smaller than the one I have there, but if you have a smaller one and you attempt it multiple times, you could take a black paint marker or a like some brush on black paint, and you could just carefully draw on that line on the inside of your glass, essentially painting it. You can still get it off with a razor blade, but still. But yeah, overall with the layout, I'm happy. The execution, I'm not. So probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna peel that off, I'm gonna retint it one more time, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the end result again. I'm just not gonna make you guys watch all of this again. So let me go ahead and do that, and then when I'm done, we'll come back and we'll look at what my final result looks like. Alright, well, this is round 2, and we're pretty much just about done. I did have 1 or 2 problematic areas again up in the corner. I'm going to try to work that out. I think that's just like a little air bubble. I could probably work those out. Overall, I see I have a little air bubble right, or water bubble right there, and there. I can work those out. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that, guys. This time I was able to do pretty good. I'm gonna work that out real fast. I got a little gap right there, not too bad. I'm not too concerned with that. So let's work these little bit of bubbles out real fast. Alright guys, there you have it. That's pretty much it. Again, a little bit more complicated than it should be, but not as complicated as it could be. So again, I just want to kind of elaborate on it. You'll see down through here, there is quite a bit of bubbling through it. I think most of this is water bubbles, so once I pull it outside, I think most of that's going to kind of go away. If not, no big deal. That's what this practice is for. Again, I'm not a professional on any level. This is me just trying something new, trying something different, just to see if I could do it or not. Again, most of the stuff that I just showed you is stuff that I've learned as far as like the cutting techniques and things like that, what tools to use, what tools not to use. And there's all kinds of different options for tint out there. This just happened to be a cheap $10 roll from Walmart again. I did that just because I didn't want to be a lot of money invested into something that I knew that I was ultimately going to end up peeling off anyway and just trashing. Yeah, just something for fun to try. If you guys want to try it, I strongly recommend trying it. If you have the option, do it in a garage or a contamination-free area, not somewhere like this. Let me shut this car off. Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't recommend doing it out in an open area like this. Maybe do it in a more controlled environment like a garage or something like that. Or just pay to have it done. It's really not that expensive, but just for a learning experience, it was worth me spending the money and just kind of doing it myself. I think the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. So it's not about money for me. It's about learning a new thing, new item that I can add to my skill set. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys. As always, like, share, and subscribe. See you guys in the next one.